Hey everybody, John Ploskina here, and the Washington Post has just put out a propaganda piece. It's related to the Rod Wheeler lawsuit and the CNN piece that I talked about yesterday, where they're trying to float this idea that the Seth Rich as DNC leaker narrative was fabricated by the White House and Fox News. Now, of course, we know that the Washington Post is a propaganda outlet. We know that they're owned by Jeff Bezos, who's the owner of Amazon.com, that he has hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts, and that he has an incentive to maintain the current status quo, where he can rake in billions of dollars by destroying the retail shopping industry. So let's take a look at this and treat it with some skepticism. It's a timeline of events in the Seth Rich saga, and it says the beginning of the Fox story was a conversation between Seymour Hersh, who's a veteran journalist, he's been around for a long time, and a guy named Ploskina, who is a big money GOP donor. So here's a quote from it from this point in the timeline. At some point before or during February, Ploskina apparently speaks with veteran journalist Seymour Hersh, who Ploskina says indicated a link between Rich and the FBI. Hersh later told Folk and Flick that it was gossip and that Ploskina took 2 and 2 and made 45 out of it. And maybe that's fair enough, right? This journalist was just bullshitting, and this guy went a little too far with it, ran a little too far. Well, it turns out that WikiLeaks just tweeted leaked audio of Seymour Hersh discussing the Seth Rich incident, so why don't we listen in?
About the kid, and I'll tell you what I know. What I know comes off an FBI report. Don't ask me how you can figure out I've been around long enough. And here's what nobody knows, what I'm telling you. Now, maybe you know something about it. So the DC cops, they have a cyber unit in DC, and they're more sophisticated. They come and look at it. The idea is maybe he's had a series of exchanges with somebody who says, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker, over a girl, and they can't get in. So they call the FBI cyber unit. The DC unit, the Washington field office, is a hot shit unit. This is according to the FBI report. What they find is he makes first of all, you have to know some basic facts. One of the basic facts is there's no DNC or Podesta email that exists beyond May 22nd, May 21st, 22nd. It's the last email for either one of those groups. And so what the report says that sometime in late spring, we're talking about June, summer's in June 21st. Late spring would be after, I presume, I don't know. I just say it says late spring, early summer. He makes contact with WikiLeaks. That's in his computer, and he makes contact. Now, they found what he had done. He had submitted a series of documents, of emails, some juicy emails from the DNC. And, by the way, all this shit about the DNC, whether hacked or wasn't hacked, but whatever happened, the Democrats themselves wrote this shit. You know what I mean? All I know is that he offered a sample, an extensive sample, I'm sure dozens of emails, and said, I want money. That later, WikiLeaks did get the password. He had a Dropbox. They got access to the Dropbox. He also, and this is also in the FBI report, he also let people know with whom he was dealing. And I don't know how he dealt. I'll tell you about WikiLeaks in a second. I don't know how he dealt with the WikiLeaks and the mechanism, but he also, the word was passed according to the FBI report. I also shared this box with a couple of friends. So if anything happens to me, it's not going to solve your problem. Okay? I don't know what that means. I don't know whether he was, anyway. But WikiLeaks got access, and before he was killed, I can tell you right now, Brennan's an asshole. I've known all these people for years. Clapper's sort of a better guy, but now rocket scientist. The NSA guy is a fucking moron. And the trouble with all those guys is that the only way they're going to make it to a board or two and get hired by SAIC to deliver some fat cat contracts is if Hillary stayed in. With Trump, they're gone. They're done. They're going to live on their pension. They're not going to make it. And I got to tell you, guys in that job, they don't want to live on their pension. They want to be on boards like they're make $600,000 for going to 4 visits. I have a narrative of how that whole fucking thing began. It's a Brennan operation. It was an American disinformation, and the fucking president. At one point, when they even started telling the press, they were back briefing the press. The head of the NSA was going and telling the press, this fucking cocksucker Rogers was telling the press that we even know who in the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Service, leaked it. I mean, all bullshit. They were telling these two. I worked at the New York Times for fucking years, and the trouble with the fucking New York Times is they have smart guys, but they're totally beholden on sources. If the president or the head of the CIA tells them something, they actually believe it. I was hired at the Times to write about it, to go after the war, in the Vietnam War in '72, because they were just locked in. So that's what the Times is. These guys run the fucking Times. And Trump's not wrong. I mean, I wish he would calm down and had a better press secretary. You have to be so... Trump's not wrong to think they all fucking lied about him.
So, as you heard, Seymour Hersh says that his source was an FBI report that he was able to examine. Now, I don't know if we could really call that gossip. If it's gossip, that's a pretty interesting piece of gossip. Now, to be fair, Hersh does speculate that he doesn't think that Seth Rich was actually murdered in relation to this, but did he see an FBI report or not? Is he saying that Seth Rich was in contact with WikiLeaks or not? And so here's my next round of questions. Is Seymour Hersh going to be subpoenaed in this lawsuit? Will the FBI report be brought into evidence? Why does Seymour Hersh think that Brennan is an asshole? Why does he think that Clapper is not so bright? Which guy at the NSA is the asshole? What information is the New York Times not giving us? And what is the legality of essentially having intelligence services run a major newspaper like the New York Times? Another thing to keep in mind that's really interesting is the fact that WikiLeaks has officially tweeted this out. It seems like another one of these not-so-subtle confirmations that Seth Rich was the DNC leaker. You know, I'm actually 100% on board with this investigation, but I want every single angle of this to come out. Because who knows, right? Maybe Fox News did fabricate the story. But if we're going to have an investigation, I want to know everything that Wheeler knew and everything that Seymour Hersh knows. So, of course, Twitter is filled with shills. Look at this. It's all exactly the same text. And this was probably done by CTR or ShareBlue or one of these other political PR firms that's out there. The establishment media and all of these other actors are trying to discredit this idea that Seth Rich was the DNC leaker. This is a naked and obvious attempt to control the media narrative. This is the information ghetto in action, and it's up to us in the alternate media if we're going to stop it. The 2016 election was just the first battle of the meme war. This is going to be a long and bitter and difficult struggle pulling ourselves out of the information ghetto and saving Western civilization. But I feel like I've been drafted, and I'm almost looking forward to it in a way, and I hope that you'll join me by helping to spread this information. And in the meantime, it's a harsh world out there, my friends, so please keep thinking. Bye-bye.